On Saturday, I ran the fastest 5K I've run in 7 years, and I did it completely by mistake. Let me explain how.
For the past 50 days, as part of the 75 Hard Challenge, I've been doing 2 45-minute training sessions every single day. And traditionally, my training is focused on the 3 sports of triathlon: swimming, cycling and running. But trying to come up with some variety for those 90 workouts, I discovered something called GPP, General Physical Preparedness, a term coined by the Soviets in the mid-20th century as a way of training promising young athletes before they matured and their talent and genetics revealed their best sporting path. Then the specific physical preparedness began. They'd focus on developing in 4 main areas: all-round strength, mobility and agility, speed, and endurance or resilience. But of course we wouldn't have even got to the Cold War as a species had it not been for tribes 10,000, 100,000 years ago, initially hunting and then farming their way to the top of the evolutionary table. Strength, agility, speed and resilience being key factors for the best hunters and farmers. From the ancient Greek Olympians to Roman gladiators and centurions, all the way through to training modern day elite forces, GPP is the mainstay of being ready for anything.
On Saturday at Park Run, I ran 22:35 for 5K, fastest time since 2017. And in those intervening 7 years, of course, I ran quite a lot of 5K runs. Sometimes when I've been fit and maybe doing some tempo and interval, long runs, etc., I've run 23 minutes, something like that. And sometimes, when I've not been very fit, I've run about 30 minutes. But for the last 50 days, my training's kind of looked a little bit like this. The morning is comprised of some cardio-based work, fasted, 45 minutes. On an easy day, it might be a ruck up here with the dogs, or an easy 45-minute bike ride. And on slightly more intense days, a 45-minute run, or something similar like that on the road, or a trail run, like I'm doing now. But the emphasis being on low intensity because I'm fasted, but also because I've got to do it all over again tomorrow for several days. And then in the afternoon, I've done something a little bit more agility, power or strength based. So that could be free weights, cable weights, kettlebells, plyometrics, calisthenics, boxing, something like that. So an easy day might be a ruck with the dogs and then yoga in the afternoon. And a slightly more intense day might be a run out on the road and then back to do some cable weights or some free weights in the afternoon when I've had some protein. The most intensity I've done in the last 50 days started 4 weeks ago when we as a family started doing park run. The first 3 of those runs came in bang on 23:40, give or take a second or two, and then all of a sudden last week I knocked over a minute off that 5K run to run 22:35. Hey, come on this way, careful. So unlike these 2 Herberts, I don't go out with every intention of destroying myself every day. Every run session that I've done has just been to exercise with the intention of running the next day. However, interestingly enough, as a slight aside, but is relevant, every single one of those long, slow runs, if you want to call them that, for 45 minutes I've done, has just been what I feel is easy. I haven't worried about pace, haven't really looked at distance or time, I've just gone out for 45 minutes and just felt it. And interestingly enough, they all come in around 8K and all around 5:45 pace. Now, if you're running a 22:35 5K, that's almost bang on what your long, slow run pace should be. And I did that entirely on feel, seemingly by luck really. So for the last 50 days, my emphasis has not been on running, it's been on GPP. I haven't thought about paces or tempo or intervals or hill reps or anything like that. My training is focused solely on doing something light cardio and repeatable to focus on endurance and resilience. And then in the afternoon or evening, focused around protein intake, I've been doing something geared more towards strength, agility and speed. Really just the GPP model. And so a typical training week for the last 50 days has looked a little bit like this. This way you did.
The Discovery Plus series Olympians follows 10 athletes from disciplines as diverse as swimming, fencing, rowing, high jump, judo and table tennis. The documentary shows every single one of them in the gym at various stages of their prep for the games. Even table tennis. table tennis. And whilst training becomes more specific nearer to competition time, off-season, or what some team sports call pre-season, often bears no resemblance to the chosen discipline. Sure, some sports have always been open to this. Boxers have always focused on GPP, running for resilience and skipping for agility, speed bags for, well, speed, and weights for that all-important strength. Swimmers likewise often spend as much time in the gym as in the pool, but other sports have often been more resistant. The idea of a cyclist running or lifting until fairly recently would have been dismissed as quickly as the idea of a latte after 11 AM. But just look at the versatility of races that's taken place recently. Cross riders winning sprint and mountain stages at Grand Tours.
Wout van Aert! Wout van Aert! Wonderful Wout!
So think of GPP like playing a game of rock, paper, scissors where each one trumps the other in some form. There's no point in being able to carry the animal back to the village that you've hunted if you haven't got the endurance to track it for hours, the agility to move over terrain, and the power to throw the spear to capture it. And likewise, any inversion of this is also true. There's no point in being able to track an animal for days if you then can't carry it back to the village. In the mid to late 80s, when I was 9 or 10, I became completely obsessed with racing cycling. And I bought a racing bike, and I used to ride my racing bike a lot. Then I got bored with getting beaten up for wearing Lycra. So I took up boxing, and I used to box a lot. And then in the mid 90s, I discovered triathlon, swim, bike, run. And guess what? I trained a lot, swimming, cycling, and running. And whilst it sounds like a flippant and obvious thing to say, I bet you're far more familiar with what running shoes Eliud Kipchoge wears, what bike Geraint Thomas rides, or perhaps what goggles Adam Peaty wears. But do you know what kettlebells they use? The point is, in promo material, we tend to see specific athletes doing said specific sport. Very rare that we actually ever see them doing the other stuff they do. As part of 25-30 hours of professional training, chances are they're doing at least 3 to 5 hours of other training that's more general and opposite, more often than not, to the specific training. So you'll likely find an endurance athlete that's resilient doing some strength training, and a strength athlete doing some resilience and endurance work. The reality of it is that I was getting my training fairly wrong. For every 5, 10, 15 hours of training I was doing that was specific, I should have been doing 1, 2 or 3 hours of the opposite, more general physical preparedness. In my professional life, there are plenty of people I know that instead of referring to themselves as guitarists or drummers should probably refer to themselves as playing a bit of guitar or a bit of drums. But we seem intent on referring to ourselves by our chosen hobby. I'm a runner, I'm a triathlete, or I'm a cyclist. And perhaps therein lies the problem. I actually know an awful lot of people that spend more time cooking per week than they do training in their specific sport. They don't call themselves a chef.
Some job roles have certain, shall we call them, aesthetics associated with them. Members of the armed forces, farmers, tree surgeons, firefighters, they all traditionally require high levels of GPP fitness and therefore are extremely useful to the tribe. And that physical ability can usually be identified visually and therefore makes them desirable. Have I said that diplomatically enough? When I worked on building sites, there was just one trade you didn't mess with: scaffolders. Despite the sorry state of some of the fellas I saw on a site in Bristol today, generally speaking, it's a job role that requires the key elements of GPP in abundance.
HYROX, Crossfit, British military fitness, they all have a really good balance across strength, speed, agility and resilience. And of course, those 4 components, tribalistically for the last 10,000, 100,000 years, are things that we want in our tribe. We want people that are strong, resilient, fast and agile. So perhaps it's little wonder that those brands tap into the gladiatorial nature of the competitions, but also the social, tribal aspects of the communities that they bring. In essence, we're still hardwired to like people that have a really good balance and harmony between those 4 elements. If you get too strong, it's unlikely you'll be overly resilient. If you get too resilient, it's probably quite unlikely you'll be overly strong. Should have a good compromise between the lot. My thoughts are that unless really we're specific athletes for our jobs, we really need to be general athletes in our lives, and not just physically but mentally as well. Switch out the word physical with strength, speed, agility and resilience and put the word mental in front of them, and you've got a pretty good blueprint for life. As ever folks, it's about balance. Oh no, we're going the wrong way. We need to go back up this way, you two. Come on, you. So this is the journey for me. 75 hard has made me look more broadly at things to do, like this really, rucking. Never done it before in my life. Absolutely love it as a way to take the dogs out. And being generally good at most things, being agile enough to get through this tree is definitely an aspect that I'm trying to focus on at the moment, and should definitely be trying to focus on across other areas of my life. My God, I definitely took a wrong path there. However, if you do want to get on the right path, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this is a journey. It's not just for me. I'm doing all this for myself, and seemingly a lot of you are interested in it too. I am loving being part of this big community of people who are just interested in looking at what's next and how to get there with a smile on your face and a spring in your stride. So really the route to me getting that time on Saturday was based not on running, but on just general physical preparedness. Sure, if I wanted to get back down to 19 minutes or so, like I was in 2015, I'd have to do more specific training, but that would compromise other areas. It would take everything out of balance. I propose this: if you took a serving Royal Marine or a serving firefighter and you put them in a powerlifting competition and a half marathon, they'd probably do very well at both. Sure, they wouldn't win, but they'd do very well, above average, my argument would go. However, if you were to take the winners of those competitions, the winner of the powerlifting competition, and put them in a half marathon, and the half marathon winner and put them in a powerlifting competition, they would soundly be below average. And so we have to realistically ask ourselves the question, and I'll go first. I'll tell you that I don't really think I'm a drummer anymore, at least not at the moment. My son does more gigs a year than I do, so I'm somebody that plays drums. So ask yourself genuinely, are you really a runner, or a triathlete, or a cyclist, or a swimmer? Or are they just things that you do as a bigger part of the picture? And I think the minute we can start to be a bit more realistic like this, and realise the most important race that we pin a number for is the one that ends with a very final finish line, we start seeing an awful lot more of our lives as important elements, like being able to carry the shopping back from the supermarket, or your luggage at the airport, or, as I've said many times, dancing with your grandchildren at their wedding. It's far more important to win at those things than it is to get some crappy medal along with a load of other people. That is just part of the bigger picture for me. At least it is now anyway. Thanks for watching, gang. Don't forget to leave a comment and give me a thumbs up. And now that the channel's monetized, watching those ads or just letting them run will help contribute to things like the DEXA scans and all the other experiments that I'm doing that we can share and find out more about. And until the next video, don't forget to look after yourselves, take good care, and have a bit of a laugh and enjoy the things that are around you as much as you can.
The Discovery Plus series, Olympians, follows 10 athletes from disciplines as diverse as swimming. What the f*** am I